look, man, I want you to know what you're up against. Here's Big Boss, leader of the crooks.
Meanwhile, at the crooks' hideout...
Learn this face! Sundown, for the sheriff!
Cops and crooks sold separately with cap guns and caps.
What's up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and I'm back with another review. We're still on the Cops train. So, this is Barricade. And Barricade is kind of an oddity in my collection. Typically, I collect the more badass looking characters. I don't really like the kind of awkward or, what's the word I want to look for? The stranger designs. Sometimes they get on my nerves. Sometimes I'll collect them just because it's part of the line. Sometimes because they're needed, I'll have them. But most times I shy away from them. Characters like Blanca, Necro, MODOK. You know, I don't like those designs. But strangely enough, in Cops, I dug the character enough that I needed to have him. And when I was a kid, I never saw this figure in the store. So a lot of this is new for me as an adult, because the Barricade I was used to was the one in the cartoon, which didn't wear the helmet. You could always see his face. I mean, he didn't wear the gas mask. He wore the helmet, but not the gas mask. So like this one, seeing his face up close and stuff is kind of weird, you know? But he is a really cool design. He is your SWAT crowd control officer. And if you notice, he's got similar padding to what's going on him, Mace, and Highway, and Bowser. And I like that. It's a unity of design or consistency of design. But this guy is a pretty cool and unique design. I've never seen this design anywhere else. You know, and I'm gonna probably bite some of these ideas for things that I'm working on, because it just works, and I'm surprised that no one saw the sensibility in what they were doing here with, you know, a riot control officer with a padded suit and this pneumatic battering ram that he has that they call, I think on the actual box art, it called it a mule. On the checklist, they called it the Crooks Cruncher. It's a battering ram, plain and simple. My gripe with this figure is singular. It's with the mule system. He just holds that in one hand. I mean, that's badass as far as figures go, but there should have been some kind of like arm or something connecting it to his back so that when you play with it, it doesn't just drop out, you know, out of his hand. Because I mean, if you do anything, see, it just falls right out of his hand. And that's a pretty heavy piece of equipment. I mean, that's the cap gun portion of the figure, and you know why they didn't come up with that is beyond me. But looking at this thing, I mean, God, look at that. We don't get designs like this anymore for a battering ram. I mean, you would think that, like, I mean, they even have the siren up there. You would think that in this day and age, with all the military themed things that we get, that somewhere they would have decided to do that. But nope. The other cool idea is he's got this cool shield, but the gun is the handle of the shield, so you can separate the two with a little force. Mine was actually glued in until just a few minutes ago, and then it popped out, and I'm like, whoa, that's quality. So you separate it and you have a gun like in the pictures, which I think is badass. I would pretend that it has shock features or rubber bullets or something like that, you know, different firing modes. But that is a very nice design. I mean, even the type of gun it is pretty nice. Now, at first, I thought it was backwards. But if you shot it from the other side, the handle would need to be back here. You know what I'm saying? Let me move out that way. The handle would need to be back here for the trigger to be there. So I'm assuming it's the right way, because also the shield ends up on the back of his arm instead of on the inside of his arm. But that is just ingenious. I think that is one of the cooler details. It reminds me of Brave Star. They had those guns like this with the dual barrels at the under the handle and on top of the handle. It's pretty nice. And these are the details that made me love this line. Stuff like that, you know. You have riot control officers, you have SWAT team officers and specialists, etc., and they wear, you know, riot gear. And this is the futuristic version of the riot gear, which is pretty nice. I mean, he's got his grenades. I mean, I dig this design a lot. So, you see, he's got, that looks like a communication device on his chest. Could be wrong. It could just be like when he puts the suit on, the suit itself is, you know, flat, like just regular, you know, it's not all bumpy and filled with air or anything. But as soon as you put the suit on, you turn that thing and it just swells up. The suit just fills up with air, fills up all the ribbing. To me, that's what I think that is. He's got grenades on the side. I like that. We got the whole police on the back of his head. Pretty interesting that they went in that route. I think you can kind of see it, right? Police. His face kind of reminds me of a duck. It's cool. It needed like black detailing or some kind of darker color to, you know, kind of accentuate all those cool lines and, you know, faces going on over there, or surfaces going on over there. Badge is very well detailed, and that's another thing, that the paint was never sloppy. I mean, you can look at each one of these guys and you can see their badges, even on their hats, even when they got a little badge on their belt or something, kind of like he's got. It was painted in a metallic color and they didn't slop. It was nice. So, you know, more reasons why I am so happy to have these guys. But, you know, Barricade was one of those cool characters. I think he was a pacifist, kind of like, you know, Lifeline. Except his job was always keeping the peace in his family, etc., etc. So he's a quiet dude. A detail that I don't think I mentioned in the other thing is that another reason why they call these the spiritual successors or the successors to G.I. Joe is that Larry Hama, he wrote their ID cards or their file cards. So they had goofy names. Like this dude's name in the cartoon, it was Stan High. In the comics, it was Stan Bach. Stan Back. Which is kind of funny and it's kind of cool in a sense, you know, and it adds to, you know, Larry Hama's charm when it comes to, well, the character's charm at the hands of Larry Hama. There's a number of characters with cool names and cool little references to other things, but he's a very interesting character. I like the way he looks. I like the way his gear works. The paint, everything is just well done. It's like they actually had a game plan going in, saying that, you know, this guy's going to be entirely blue and we're going to only have so many details on there. You know, if they did that in today's world with today's toys, I mean, I would be like, okay, I understand. I wouldn't have an issue. But the way they do it today, it's just so grimy. They come up with these horrible excuses as to why they can't give you a real paint job on a figure, or why, you know, a character needs to be freaking dipped in blackwash. You know what I'm saying? And it's supposed to make it look better. Why they can't give us a defined sculpt. And this is a 26-year-old figure that it easily rivals. If I didn't tell you it had an O-ring construction, there's not much to give it away unless you know what you're looking for. But when you see him next to other characters, granted, this RoboCop looks so much better than Barricade. I'm not even gonna lie, he looks way better. They look like they can exist in the same universe. The black on RoboCop's body kind of matches the blue on Barricade, and it looks like it was handled in the same kind of way. It's just, I don't know. There's no reason why we should be getting some of the slop we get when this is what Hasbro was capable of 26 years ago. And there's other things. When I get to Turbo Two-Tone and you see the size of the figure and the fact that he came with a vehicle, and you see the sculpt on this guy, No reused sculpts. Maybe a couple heads were reused where they added to the detail on that head, like on Heavyweight right here. His head looks like the same head that's on what's the guy's name? Powder Keg. But he has a beard and he has different hair. But excuse me, just the way they were handled though in general, they were so individualized that it made it awesome and, you know, made you look forward to each figure. So anyway, this has been a review of the C.O.P.S 1988 Barricade figure. He's one of my favorites. I didn't think he was going to be, but he is.
This is an example of what you can do, or how you can take a very simplistic concept and make it a little bit more interesting by accentuating the smaller details in the figure, you know, playing off the smaller details. A lot of form following function, and that makes this character work. His gimmick, the mule system, very nicely done. I got no gripes with that thing. It looks powerful. It is powerful. It just feels right. There's not too much else for me to really, you know, elaborate on this guy. Solid paint, solid articulation, solid gimmick. Well, it's not really a gimmick, but all across the board, you know, they have the cap gimmick. I'm purposefully ignoring the cap gimmick. Anytime you see an oversized weapon on any of the C.O.P.S, that's what fires the caps. But overall, it's just a well done figure. Very nicely detailed. Like I said, the articulation is really good, especially considering that he is a figure from 1988. I mean, it's like better than DC Collectibles, and now DC Collectibles is actually starting to give them articulation where they can do some of the stuff that these figures can do. So, you know, in many ways, Hasbro was ahead of their time. I just wish they would tap their resources, go back to the guys that were, you know, working on C.O.P.S and say, you know, find out, you know, pick their brains for ideas. Give us a resurgence in C.O.P.S. That would be awesome. Especially in today's world where everything is military themed, or, you know, urban themed, or, you know, it's combat themed. You could easily sell C.O.P.S, you know, new articulation, new sculpts by the Four Horsemen, hopefully, or, you know, someone like comparable, you know, the Marvel Legends teams. And, I mean, it'd be a wrap. It'd be a wrap. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. So anyway, stay tuned. I will have more C.O.P.S reviews and previews and showcases coming, because like I said, I have all of them finally, or all the ones I wanted, which leaves out 2 figures. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm rambling on. But anyway, I'm Strident. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Peace outside.